Great morning, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you had an awesome, blessed, and relaxing weekend. You know, your girl's generally not on when it's a holiday, right? And so, yeah, the weekend went by really quick. But we did have, even though I didn't do my video yesterday morning because it was the holidays, we did have our show, Marriage Mondays with the Kings, last night. And so, you know, everyone was like telling us how they were going to be listening into the show and how excited they are and everything like that. And so I just want to say thank you, like we do every Tuesday, just saying thank you so much just for the support of following us. Now, guess what? I'm going to go ahead and get into this topic today. Now, good morning, Natasha. I'm going to be honest with you. For those of y'all who know me, know that I can get really, really deep when it comes to some things. Good morning, Simone. And so, I was sitting up thinking about, you know, marriage like I always do. Good morning, Manita. And the agendas that has been pushed is still being pushed. And we do not even realize, especially when it pertains to our marriage, how it is destroying marriages. Okay, so I'm sure some of you all have heard that history repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. And so there are agendas that are being pushed to keep marriages destroyed, families destroyed, separated, and everything like that. I can think of two good examples. And some of y'all are not going to be too happy and pleased. Good morning, Cousin Kim. Well, what I'm about to say. But we have to look at what the world is doing, what we're allowing the world to do. We can't get mad at the things that are being done and said and voted in and all that stuff, especially when it pertains to our marriage, if we're not doing anything about it, if we're not getting out and advocating everything like that. So, history repeats itself. There's nothing new under the sun. A house divided against itself shall not stand. Now, think about some things, and this is Black History Month. And I'm not just doing this because this is Black History Month, but I'm just going to tie this right on in with some history that has happened in the world. Y'all got to forgive me starting my vehicle and stuff and listening to that KRGN. But things that have happened in the world that is destroying our marriages today. Number one, if we look at media, okay, I've seen it so many times that whatever media portrays, that's what we follow. And we don't realize how sucked in we get by this. Now, for example, if media is portraying a glorified single life, or media is portraying a whole bunch of nagging that's going on in the marriage, they never portray how the couple need to go get help. If you think about it, they never do that. They portray the anger, the hurt, the frustration. And if you're already going through that as a married couple, you will go straight down that route, because that what you see is what you're going to do, especially if you allow yourself to, you know, go that route. Now, I know y'all like, okay, where does slavery come in and where does the feminist movement? So my son had posted a post last night, and you know, it's one of those age-old posts, and it's talking about in marriage, should the husband somebody had put, you know, there's no 50-50 or something like that. It should be where the marriage, if the husband is not protecting and he's not providing, then, you know, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, and blah, blah, blah. Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, Thesha. You know, so it went on to say this, and so my son was like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And of course, you got the older generation who's like, no, it should be, you know, you should be one. You should not be a house divided, especially when it comes to money. Hey, you do what you do, which is what I responded on the video. You do what you do, whatever floats your boat. But I was talking about how for me and my husband, we're one. The money's one, all that's one. We're a team. We work together. Team King, that's what we do. We don't think about me or he. It's all about that we. You hear me? It's about us. So let me talk about slavery and stuff. If you look at the history of slavery and you look at the history of feminist movement, if your mind is open, you can think how this really attacks that of the marriage. Now, slavery. For some of y'all who know, and if you don't know, I encourage you, you can even go to YouTube. You ain't even got to read it for yourself. And I encourage you to Google the Willie Lynch letter. Okay, some people say it was real, some people say it wasn't. I mean, slavery was real, so whatever. However, let me get up off of that and make my point. So, if you really read or listen to, because I think it's a guy like Dr. Umar Johnson or something like that. He had read it on YouTube, so you ain't even got to read it. Just listen to it. It's like 25 minutes. And with this Willie Lynch letter, basically Willie Lynch, for those of you who do not know, was a person that was brought to the United States to teach slave owners how to condition their slaves. I'll say it like that. Now, one of the things that it said in there is what you have to do in order to break up the family is you have to pull the male away. So if you pull the male away, which is the protector, you see what I'm saying? Automatically what's going to happen is the wife, the mother, is going to protect her children because she don't want nothing to happen to the children. So what you do is you pull the male away, okay? It ain't no joke. You right, Brandy. You pull the male away. You embarrass the male in front of his wife. You embarrass the husband. You beat him down. You belittle him. Is this sounding familiar? If it don't, I'm going to tell you how. You belittle him. You make him feel like he's less than in front of his wife, in front of his children, like he a straight up punk. And this is another man that's belittling this man and making him less than. Then what you do is you empower the wife. You empower her. You show her how she can make it without her husband, how she can provide, you know, for her children without her husband. And so in saying all that, if you look at how history repeats itself, those are some of the things, especially in some ethnicities, that has taken place. If you be really honest, okay, and this is why we always encourage mothers, we encourage fathers, if you have young men, teach them and raise them up how to be someone's husband. Good morning, Akeisha. How to be someone's husband. Teach them the values of what they need to know about being the head of the house. Now, some people go a little overboard and they teach their sons, okay, you make your wife respect you and all that. Nah. I'm going to need you to apply some biblical principles. Now, before I get into... So that's one way. If you look at it and think about it, think about how many wives... Think about how many women, even when it's your boyfriend, you tear down your boyfriend and you tear down your husband with your mouth. Think about that. You belittle him. You embarrass him in the public. You embarrass him in front of people. Think about that. You don't even realize that you were conditioned by history to repeat the same cycle. If you make a man feel like he's less than, and true enough, he shouldn't be doing that to his wife either. So men, if you belittle your wife and all this other stuff, to me, that's pretty much telling me that you wasn't raised in the correct way of how to treat your queen, okay? So I'm not taking sides in this. Now, let's go to the feminist movement. Anybody know me that knows I am a strong female? You hear me? I work together well with my husband. I don't belittle my husband. I don't put my husband down. But baby, when my husband get tired, and that's what we were talking about on yesterday's show, is how to support your spouse, and why is it that husbands and wives don't support each other. But when my husband get tired, when my husband is sick, or whatever the case may be, he down, baby, that's when his queen step up and do what I gotta do. But how the feminist movement, if anybody really kind of know the true history behind the feminist movement, it's not to, it's to say women be empowered, they can do, it took place, you know, when a lot of the men were sent off to war, and then you had the women that had to step up and hold the United States down, basically, and do the jobs that a lot of the men that was doing. But then it was a whole bunch of pushing, so it kind of took a turn for the worse, because instead of supporting and doing, because a lot of husbands was used to their wives working. So they was like, I'm going to need you to get back to being a homemaker. I'm going to need you to get back. And she like, no, I've been out here holding it down. You know, I'm paraphrasing, you know. I've been out here holding it down for y'all while y'all was deployed and drafted and all this stuff going to fight this war, and you mean to tell me you want me to go back to the house? And that caused a lot of division. Now, if maybe she would have came a different way and said, honey, I understand, you know, but needless to say, you do have women that work outside of the home. That's good. But I've seen some super powerful women who respect their husbands, who treat their husband like the head of the house, who make sure that their children are taken care of. They working a full-time job, baby. If them kids act up, they getting off going up to that school and acting a smooth fool. You hear me? Letting them kids know what you not gonna do is act a fool when you outside our house. So it's a balance. But what happens where the agenda was placed was for women to say, you don't need a man, you don't need to depend on a man for nothing. And that's why you got, you know, no knock to my singles, but that's why you have a lot of people and married. You in your marriage, as soon as the first thing is said that you don't like, you ready to bounce, because I can do this by myself. I can take care of this by myself. Same, I've seen her single women say that. Oh, I can take her, but guess what? in the long run, you sitting up here like, man, I sure would like to have, you know, a husband or whatever to be booed up to and everything like this. I tell y'all all this on today to say, I need us to be smart. The Bible tells us to be wise. We need to have wisdom. And we do not understand that the agenda that the devil is pushing upon us. That is why I always say, do not talk down your husband. Don't embarrass your husband, because you are telling the agenda of what is going on in your home. If you can't handle that behind closed doors, if you can't put your pride aside to go get some help for you and your husband. So y'all, it ain't nothing wrong with getting help. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying not to get into tomorrow's video. But there's nothing wrong with getting help. But what we have to understand is look at the agenda that is being pushed. Look at the agenda that is being pushed to the next generation. Because this is something that you need to know about how the devil operates. How old Satan operates. He don't want you. He wants he wants the next generation. And how is he reaching this next generation? Through social media, through these devices that these kids is glued to. Adults are glued to them too. That's how he's getting to them. That's how he's funneling in their mind. And so what we have to do as parents is not only train up the child in the way that they should go, but we got to show them an example of what a husband and a wife should look like. We have to spend time with these kids. We have to spend time with our daughters and let them know, baby, don't just fall for anything. Baby, you see the love that your daddy is replicating for you, honey. Don't fall for anything, because if you ain't got a man that's stepping to you and he's wanting your hand in marriage, see, you got to teach her worth, just like we got to teach our young boys. No, you're going to be somebody's husband. Like I told my sons, you ain't gonna be walking about her being somebody's punk. I'm not gonna baby you, or whatever the case may be. But see, that's very rare. Just like my friend posted, you have a lot of people, and I reposted, that's complaining that there's not any good men out there, but mamas, you raising them. Daddies, you raising them. So we can't, you know what I'm saying, cannot allow the agenda of the world. And some people may say, well, when it came to the Willie Lynch letter and slavery, I didn't see it like that. Well, when it came to the feminist movement, I didn't see it like that. I encourage you to open up your minds, not to foolishness, but think beyond. You see what I'm saying? Think beyond the ways of the world right now when it comes to destroying our families. Most people ask us, well, why is it that you know, y'all's family's so strong? And not to brag on our children, but we got some wonderful children, because they know we don't play that. You see what I'm saying? But why is it that y'all were able to do this? Because our kids knew that we didn't play, number one. Number two, we spend time with our children. You see what I'm saying? We let them know that they're important, because the thing that my grandmother told me is what you have to do. Love is free, baby. So when you're trying to substitute love with devices and them new pair of Jordans and that latest, them red bottom shoes, you got your 15-year-old daughter and she wants some $1,500 shoes. No, we got to get back to what is free, which is love and support and spending time for them and caring for them, showing them what a marriage is supposed to look like, showing them and mothers communicating with our daughters about how a male's supposed to treat them, so they're not just falling for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So, husbands, teaching our boys how to be the head of the household. You know what I'm saying? Husbands and wives, yes, we may have messed up in some things. We may have argued before our children and all that. But that's when you come and you say, you know what, to your sons and your daughters. You saying, you know what, mama messed up. Mama didn't do right as a wife. Mama didn't know. Mama had to learn how to be a wife through trial and error. But I want you to be the best wife that you can be. Or for the husbands to say, son, I messed up. I didn't have no business talking crazy to your mama like that. I didn't have no business put my hands on, you know, your mama like that. I had to learn that that was not what a husband was supposed to be like. So let me educate you and teach you. See, we're not having that. There's such a disconnect. Because of our pride, we allow our next generation to go on and just hand them right on over to the devil, hand them right on over to Satan, or have this mentality, well, I had to learn, so you gotta learn. Okay, but we supposed to protect. We supposed to train up a child in the way that they should go. We're not supposed to be throwing our kids out there to the wolves. Now, I say all that to say, teach our next generation what the agenda of the devil is when it comes to marriage and family. Teach them that it's okay to wait. Teach them that it's okay to love themselves. We need to teach ourselves, especially if you're a wife who's guilty of embarrassing your husband in public. If you are, I encourage you, go to YouTube right now. Search the Willie Lynch letter and then put in Dr. Umar, U-M-A-R, I think is how you spell that man's name, Johnson. Put that in and listen to that. When you hear when you hear the way, and even, I don't care what your ethnicity is. You ain't got to be a person of color or whatever, or black or African American. I don't care what your ethnicity is. Listen to the agenda that was pushed on how to divide. And yes, it happened to black people, slaves, and all this other kind of stuff. But listen to how they divided and conquered. Listen to how they divided and conquered, because that's the same thing that can apply to your marriage, no matter. But if you build up your husband, if you allow your husband to protect you, if you tell him every day how much I love and I think that you're taking care and supporting the family and things like that, you will catch yourself not putting your mouth on your husband in a negative way. You will catch yourself building up your husband the way that the word of God tells us to do it. And husbands, if you got a wife that's holding you down and she's your queen and she's always in your corner, you have to understand that you got to love her, especially when you got your young son, your young prince, looking up to you as an example of how to treat his mama, because how you treat his mama is how he gonna treat somebody else's daughter. Okay, so I know I said a mouthful on the day, but research the feminist movement. Definitely go listen to that Willie Lynch letter. It's going to be very disturbing in your spirit, but guess what? It worked. So in order to come against the enemy and the way that he has things structured and the agenda of the media and the devil, especially when it comes to your marriage and your family, you have to study to see what was used in the past. So I encourage y'all to share this on today to help somebody else in their marriage. Thank y'all so much for getting up and supporting the coffee group. We really appreciate it. Look, help us save some marriages out here. That's all that we ask. So y'all have a blessed day. Don't let anybody steal your joy. Share this because it's free. Be a blessing and not a curse. Your girl Shannon be back with y'all tomorrow. God bless.